Trigilio, President of the Confraternity of Catholic Clergy, a national association of priests and deacons. We've just launched a new free mobile app for your handheld device. This is a voting guide for Catholics, something which you could easily download to your iPhone, your iPad, your Android or Windows smart telephone. This voting guide for Catholics gives us moral principles by which to make a prudent and intelligent choice on Election Day. This is a completely nonpartisan effort on our part as the Confraternity of Catholic Clergy. We don't tell you which party, which candidate to vote for, but we do give you the Church's principles and teachings, particularly as they relate to morality, on issues that we consider of vital importance. The first and foremost is the right to life. This is the most fundamental and foundational issue of all. All other issues are subservient to that, since without the right to life, you have no other rights. It's from your right to life, made in the image and likeness of God, that you and I enjoy our other privileges and rights. So obviously, evils, intrinsic evils, such as abortion, assisted suicide, euthanasia, terrorism, and genocide, these are inimically opposed to the right to life and must be opposed at all levels and all degrees. Candidates who support these positions must also be opposed. Next to the right to life is religious liberty, or the freedom of religion. You and I enjoy, because of our right to life, a freedom to worship God, but not just worship, but also a freedom of religion, which entails the practice of the Church, the external and internal practice of the faith. Currently, there are laws which are threatening our religious rights as Catholic Christians. These must be opposed at all levels. Next to the freedom of religion and religious liberty is the sanctity of marriage. Marriage is founded upon the principle of one man and one woman. This has been created by God himself, and therefore neither the state nor even the Church has the authority to reinvent or to redirect this in any way, shape, or form. We also have the right to private property. You and I are allowed to own things. We certainly have a moral obligation as Christians to share what we have, but we're not obligated to take an absolute vow of poverty where we give away everything we own, particularly if you have a family and you have to support yourself. Only those particular people who take the evangelical counsel of poverty as religious live a particular life of complete poverty in terms of material possessions, but they're also cared for by their religious community. We're allowed to own things, and we also have to use them responsibly. But the government does not have the right to usurp that from us. They do not have the right to take things away from us. And the issues of increasing debt, whether it's at a private level, people in hawk up to their eyeballs, or increasing national debt, which is going to affect present and future generations, is all part of this issue of private property. We also have the issue of access to necessary goods. Part of my and your responsibility as a human being is that we must make available to people access to things they need. For instance, food, clothing, education, work, health care, medications, but it doesn't mean that we provide these things for free. We provide access to these things for these people, and everybody's entitled to have access to the things that they need for life, which means that they get a just wage, they do a just day's work for that just wage, the prices are not extravagant, and the materials are available for them to obtain. We also have the issue of war. The just war doctrine, which goes back to St. Augustine and St. Thomas Aquinas, has always been in place in the natural moral law. This basically means that using deadly force must be a final last resort. We must also exhaust other means such as diplomacy, use of embargoes and the like. But also when we're using this moral equivalency, we need to look at across the board what is the principles involved. There are two things that we examine using the just war doctrine as one goes to war and as one is engaged in war. So it's more than just saying you have to have a just cause. That's one of the first and obvious reasons that you can label something either a just war or not. You must have a just reason to go to war. It must also be a last resort. But you have to use just means during that course of the war, which means that you and I are not allowed to directly target, which we call non-combatants. This doesn't mean civilians. This means people who are not carrying weapons, people who are not an imminent threat. In older times, it used to be a distinction between civilian and the military. But as we've seen in more recent times, people can be dressed as civilians, or they can be actual civilians and not be part of a military, and be launching grenades, shooting with guns. It's the non-combatants, these people who are not involved in the direct battle, who do not have weapons, that we are not allowed to target. We must also use a proportionate amount of force. We can't wipe out completely a whole people or a nation just for the sake of war. We have to have a reasonable hope of success. When we look at these moral principles, from the right to life to the issue of war and peace, this mobile app will help you, we believe, in every election, presidential, gubernatorial, congressional, senatorial, in every single election, because these principles are based on the gospel values and the magisterial teachings. I hope you will download this and use it to your advantage. Thank you.